Well, hello everyone. Tom Taberry joined by Adam King, and the spring game is in the books. And obviously, to me, my biggest takeaway is that they were pretty vanilla on offense.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of hard to say who's winning the quarterback battle, and I asked both Chip Kelly and Ryan Day, and he said we got to look at all 15 practices. But I asked him, I said, is there a chance you will name a quarterback, or will this go into the fall? And both said they don't know at this point. I think the other thing that jumped out at me is this defense at Ohio State. They're real. They're year 3 of Jim Knowles, and these guys are playing fast.
Well, I think it's pretty fitting that although it ends in controversy because we'll never know if that touchdown was scored, the defense looked phenomenal today. He was definitely a group out there that Jim Knowles was proud of, definitely what he wanted when you look at this. And we're not talking just about the stars out there, which there are so many. You look at the second stringers and third stringers, they were hitting hard, they were making plays. Nothing was easy for this Ohio State offense. And I think something you're always going to deal with spring games is, one, was it a really good defensive performance or a bad offensive performance? And I think today it was a good mesh. If you're looking at Buckeye Nation and saying, where are they? I think these are just two really good units going against each other.
Clearly you have not seen Twitter. Twitter's a buzz talking about how the offense really, they were expecting more. And ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing I want you to remember. It was really vanilla out there. They were not showing much, if anything. They had different guys playing offensive line. And, it is easier to play defense early on. It takes a while to get into the groove with the offense. They had a lot of number 2s out there playing on offense, but there were moments from the quarterback standpoint. I thought Devin Brown played well. I think he is definitely in the hunt.
I definitely think there was a statement made today by starting Will Howard. I don't think we can look past that. I think if you're stacking the numbers, the fact that Will played first, I think is probably where Ryan's mind is. If you're worried about the offense, I really wouldn't be. I've seen the full practice now 3 times, 4 times, and that's probably the most vanilla we've seen this offense because they don't need to put much out there. It's a spring game. It's a scrimmage. And so when you look at that, I've seen Jeremiah Smith make countless highlight plays. We didn't see one today. That's because these guys didn't want to go out there and get hurt. Emeka played, a quarter, if that? Their real offense wasn't out there. And you can't take for granted the fact that if you're swapping quarterbacks every drive, the chaos of what that brings to the huddle is really hard on an offense. It's really hard on even just the receivers. The different guys throwing you the ball, they all throw differently. Julian Sayin, I've been really, really high on. I thought today he looked probably the most normal we've seen the most, and that's okay. It's a spring game. The defense looks phenomenal. I don't think there's a lot of questions there. I got a chance to talk to Jeff Okuda, and he said this is the best defense he can remember since he was here. There was a lot of confidence when it comes to that defensive side of the ball, and it's okay to have a defense that's better than an offense, Dom.
Now, the other thing I will say that will keep Ryan Day up at night, and he does not like picks. So obviously Julian Sayin had one, and we saw Keen Holtz have one. Those kind of things, that's what keeps coaches up late at night. Taking care of the football is rule number 1 if you're going to play quarterback at Ohio State. I do agree with you. I think it was not by coincidence that Will Howard got the start. But just from what I've heard and just in talking to the guys, I think this competition, I will be shocked. I will be shocked if this competition does not go into the fall now.
I've got to give Ryan Day and Ohio State some credit on how they've handled this, because I think if you would have asked me back at the beginning of spring, I think you might have asked me on one of our roundtables who transfers out. I think I would have said it's probably going to be Devin Brown and Lincoln on the way out. I don't think that's the case now. I think that Devin definitely thinks that he can win this job. I think Lincoln even thinks that he can win this job. And so when you look at that, I think everybody is going to stick around for the spring, at least the majority of them, and I think that's very well handled by Ohio State to kind of not name somebody right now. In this world of, Julian Sayin looks phenomenal, but you don't want to have to lean on Julian Sayin as your QB2 when you're in Oregon, or even your QB1. So I think today, very vanilla by the offense, exactly what they wanted to put out there. I don't think everybody wants highlight plays in spring games. That's all anybody's looking for is the 50-yard touchdown. That's not what the coaches are looking for. The coaches are looking for things like you said. Don't throw that interception. Don't make that play that, you don't have to force anything. And so, I think there's a lot to take away from today, but I wouldn't be worried. I haven't looked at Twitter, but I wouldn't be worried if I'm on Twitter. I think today is just a step in that production process.
You know, the other thing is, and I want to say the only pass that was stretched in the field was Julius Sayin, where he threw downfield and, missed on that. But most of them were like short passes. I was impressed with the running game. I thought Junkins ran well. He runs downhill. We know what Trey Henderson's about. We know to me, the big takeaways that they've got to look at, they've got to make some decisions with the offensive line. Mm-hmm. The offensive line has got to be the best there is. They need to step that up. I think the defense could be the strength of this team, but I think the offense also has that potential with the people they have coming in. But don't put too much into this. The coaches know what they were looking for. They know what they scripted. They know what they wanted to see. I would say the biggest issue Ryan Day would have coming away from this are the picks. He hates the picks. But other than that, as he told me, the biggest thing is no one got injured. And I was here when Mike Tomczak got injured in the spring game.
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing you don't want to do in a spring game is have injuries. Obviously, that's way above, and they walk away without that. They walk away without any major questions. I think the offensive line last year had some questions. This year, they were rolling them just to try some new things, try to see what it looks like with different guys at right guard, try to see what could be this unit at the end of all of this. That, again, is going to cause some chaos for an offensive line. It's going to cause some chaos for an offense if you're constantly substituting one person in and one person out. But that's what a spring game is. So defense, it's much easier because you're always rolling on defense. Throughout a game, you're rolling on defense. And so the defensive unit, they just go out there, they say, here we go, let's go run a play. But on offense, you don't know who you're throwing to. You don't know who's throwing to you, who's blocking for you. I thought it was a good spring game. I thought people were probably upset because it wasn't 55 points by the offense. But, hey, this Buckeye defense is pretty darn good.
Again, it was pretty vanilla, folks. The bottom line is we got a lot to talk about this offseason. And if I'm guessing, this quarterback race will not be decided until maybe 2 weeks before the season opener, in my opinion.
And now we watch the transfer portal to see which guys leave and maybe who they bring in.
Be interesting to see. He's Adam King. I'm Dom Tiberi. Keep it on 10 TV for all your Buckeye football needs.